show where today we're joined by a very special guest. Her stunning looks have been gracing the pages of the world's top magazines and billboards for over 15 years. She starred alongside Roger Moore as one of his sexy Bond beauties and stole the show time and time again. But, as in this famous vodka advert, her real life was to prove stranger than fiction, and her best-kept secret was about to become world news. The glamorous woman, the world newest Tula, had in fact been born a boy. After an unhappy childhood, unable to come to terms with her male body, Tula underwent a successful sex change operation and has now been living as a woman for almost 20 years, even becoming a male pin-up. Her story has inspired many of the 700 sex change operations carried out in Britain each year, and she is a tireless campaigner for the rights of transsexuals. Please welcome Tula, now better known as Caroline Cossey, her mother Doreen, and her sister Pam. Lives in America, where she is fully accepted as a woman. But the question we ask, can someone born a man ever truly become a woman? Caroline, do you feel like a woman, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally?
Well, I feel like me. I don't know how you feel. You're a woman, but, you know, I feel like me. And going through the channels of psychiatry and everything, they put me in the avenue of matching my mind and body. So obviously, yes,
Okay.
as a woman, so...
The thing is that you were born in Britain,
Right.
but Britain is one of the countries that doesn't legally accept you as a woman.
That's right.
What's the current situation on that?
Well, it's quite pathetic, really, don't you think? I mean, I'm helped here. Sort of 14, 15, I felt totally confused. And I went to various doctors and they referred me to a psychiatrist. And then finally, I was told, you know, you need to go down this avenue to have gender reassignment. And with that, then I'm stuck in legal limbo. And we're the last country in the European community, and there's about 4 countries in the world now that are sort of dragging their feet, and we are one of them, and it's quite pathetic, really, in a country where I'm helped. I mean, you could understand if they say, well, I'm sorry, we don't recognize the condition of transsexuality, but they did. So I'm helped, but then I'm stuck in legal limbo, which is really silly.
So I read your book, My Story, with a great deal of interest, and what struck me was the fact that you felt feminine all the way through your life. But was there a moment when you felt that you weren't an ordinary little boy?
Well, I think it was sort of all my childhood. I sort of didn't fit in with what my brother was doing, and I was sort of more inclined to do what my sister Pam was doing. So I mean,
but there wasn't a time that you just thought, you know, when the realization hit you?
Yeah, well, not really. It was sort of like 13, 14, I think, when my sexual feelings came about, and I knew that I wasn't attracted to girls and I was attracted to boys. So yes, at that point, I sort of realized, well, I must be gay or something. And then going up that avenue and being turned away from gay places and being shunned by the gay community, I realized I wasn't gay. So what was I? And then with the help, as I said earlier, with psychiatrists and I'm transsexual. You know, and then finding myself as a transsexual, I'm giving a route and an avenue to go up, but I'm stuck in legal limbo. This is what I've been fighting for the last 8 years.
I'd like to get, Doreen, if I could bring you in here, about this realisation thing, mother's instincts. Before Caroline actually told you, were you aware that she wasn't an ordinary little boy, as it were?
Yes, because she wasn't anything like her brother.
Right.
She always wanted to play with Pam's toys rather than her own. So, you know, it was a gradual thing for us, so it's not any shock to me at all.
Right. And is it the case, Pam, that you used to actually have to share those secrets about Caroline playing with your doll?
First of all, may I say she wasn't born a man.
She wasn't born a man,
No.
she was born a boy, she was born male?
She was born with male genitalia,
Okay.
which didn't belong.
Okay. Which is what...
I was a woman with an overdeveloped clitoris and dropped over it.
Are we allowed to say that at 2:50 in the afternoon? I think so. An overdeveloped clitoris and...
Dropped over it.
Well, okay, more and more, as you grew up to be a teenager, you felt a bit like a misfit in your village of Norfolk.
Yes.
Moved to London, where you were not just
found
hit by the
myself.
big lights, but also the gay community was more open, and also you discovered sex change operations. Now, did it seem at that time that you could really have had a sex change operation?
Well, it's not really a sex change, Chrystal. It's gender reassignment.
Gender reassignment.
Yes, nobody has a sex change, and I don't feel any transsexual would say, even the word transsexual is not really fitting. You don't actually change. You know, I'm a woman. I was born a woman, but I had the wrong apparatus and I couldn't function. So to have my mind and body as one, I had gender reassignment, which is a more gentle word.
Right. So in moving forward towards gender reassignment, you were told that you had to live as a woman, so that was no problem to you?
Well, just to sort of fit in and see that I could sort of like come to terms with everything.
And could you?
Oh, yes. I mean, the once I knew that this was possible, I just felt, you know, this is the way I could belong and fit in and feel completely happy, because I was really depressed and suicidal and not knowing quite what I was.
Right. So one of the steps you took, one of the first operations you actually had was breast enlargement.
The first one was breast, because of the circumstances. I mean, I was working as a dancer, showgirl, and yes, breast, but a lot of transsexuals actually go the other way around. They have the gender reassignment and then the finishing touches.
Right, but we're talking about you. So you had breast.
Okay.
How did you feel after you had those done?
Oh, great.
Okay, and is it true that you were a bit envious of them as well, Pam?
I'm too proud of her, actually, to be envious at all. I'm
right.
extremely proud.
Oh, right. It looks like you've got plenty. It's not as though you're like me. The thing is that after doing that, you never guess what profession Caroline went and found. She became a stripper. As you've just heard, she still had male genitalia. Why a stripper? Surely the most dangerous profession you could have gone into.
Well, I had just finished doing showgirl work, and I was really getting quite desperate to get the money for my operation, and someone said, in Italy, I mean, you could work as a showgirl and do sort of like striptease, which was almost like a showgirl, but you don't have to take everything off. And I thought, well, that's great. So I kept a G-string on, and I made my money very quickly.
So it wasn't like a test? You weren't testing yourself, testing the audience?
Oh, no, not at all. There's no test, no.
Yeah?
Just because I had a three-piece suite doesn't, you know...
But wasn't there one time as well that you were nearly exposed when you were doing
I nearly
this?
exposed myself.
Yeah,
you mean.
yeah.
Yes.
So what happened with this G-string?
Well, a G-string broke doing a performance when I had all the sort of military guys and everything, but I soon sort of grabbed the strings and tied them together and...
Amazing. So at this time, had you told your family what had been going on?
Yes, my brother came up when I was 17 and to see me, and then he went back and broke it to my mum and dad.
You gave birth initially to
A
person that had male genitalia, okay?
Okay.
But then this person comes to you and says, I want to have this major operation, which is irreversible. And how did you feel? Okay, so you asked her whether she wanted tea.
If you think that when she had, earlier when she had this problem of dizzy spells and, you know, I was relieved to know that it wasn't something terminal.
Is there any mothers in here? No?
We were all terribly naive, to say the least.
You are.
Yes.
Can I just ask, your child comes along and says that they'd like to have a very major operation. How would you have responded?
Well, I'll be very sad to have a child in that situation, because I know life is very difficult for our children generally to have a reverse situation like this. Although I can look at her and think she looks very pretty and quite happy about it, but it is a problem, because as a mother, even my son, if he come home with an earring in his ears, it is a problem.
You feel everything.
Society will not accept that. Very good, and I'll be sad because of the love for my child.
Right, thanks very much.
But I think it sounds like you're more sad for you, actually, than your child. If your child was happy and found a direction in his life, you should be happy for your child and not sad for your... I mean, you should love your child for what they want to be and not what you want to be.
I wouldn't think you would always be fully happy, because society will always, there will be always a stigma for you.
Doreen, did you think about society and how society would have treated Caroline?
Well, she had an identity problem, and she had to tailor her body to suit her mind. And she wasn't happy every time she looked at herself. She didn't like what she saw.
But what about the men? Can I have a comment from a man? Would you readily accept Caroline as a woman?
No, I'm afraid not.
Why is that?
Because I believe that what you're born with is what you should go out with, really. And if it wasn't for the fact of medical technology, he would still be a man.
So you're saying it's down to between your legs that determines whether you're male or female? Well, you're very shallow.
Physically, yes.
No, I'm sorry. There's more to being female and male than what's between your legs.
What makes a human being is their mind and their body together.
We're talking about the mind.
If you try to separate them, you're not talking about individual as being a person anymore.
So you're saying...
trying to differentiate the human being.
Right.
The human being is mind and body together.
Sure, well, I'm talking about the mind, I'm talking about hormones and chromosomes. Your chromosome count, I'm sure, is quite in order. Mine wasn't. You know, and because I had genitalia as a boy, doesn't mean to say that I was actually a boy. It's much more deep than just what's between
She was
your
basically
legs.
born in the wrong identity.
Right,
Sorry.
can I have your comment?
Yeah, you're out of order, Jean. No, really and truly, once you're born with male genitalia or whatever it is, okay, you're a man. Right now, if your mind is, hold on. If your mind, hold on. If your mind's telling you that you should become a woman, then something's wrong with your mind, isn't it?
Let me just get a female view. Can you stand for me, please?
Certainly. Well, first of all, a flippant answer to the gentleman over there. If you lost an arm, would that make you less than a human? You say if you're born with genitalia, that makes you a man. It doesn't. It makes you physically a man. What goes on in your mind is something completely different, and you have to have the two in conjunction with one another, working together. And Caroline, who I've known for 20 years, I've known her before the operation, I've known her after the operation. To me, she has always been 100% female.
Thank you. After the break, we're going to be meeting someone who has no doubt that Caroline is really a woman because he's married to her. Back soon. Welcome back to the Chrystal Rose Show, where we're asking the questions, can someone who's born a man ever truly become a woman? We're joined by satellite link by David, Tula's husband. Hi, David. Welcome.
Thank you.
When you first met Caroline, did you fall deeply in love with her?
Yes, I guess my the first impression was going very weak at the knees.
Okay, so when you first met Caroline, you met a beautiful woman. When you then realised that Caroline was actually born with male genitalia, how did you feel?
I was very shocked. The reaction was very ignorant, and one that I'm not very proud of to look back on. But it really posed no problem at all, because once I read her book, it explained everything, and I was an enlightened person.
So that's how you found out. You were given, Caroline gave you her book to read.
Yes, that's right.
You had no qualms about it after accepting it, and have you had any peer pressure?
No.
No?
No, I know people say things, but that doesn't bother me.
Did you not actually begin to question your own sexuality? You didn't feel that you might have had homosexual tendencies, did you?
No, never.
No? So you're saying basically that love conquers all?
Yes.
Well, we could all certainly do with a dose of that, couldn't we?
That's right. Caroline, it does.
Right. Okay, Caroline, David isn't your first husband, he's indeed your second. Your first husband, after the press got hold of the story, blew it up, sensationalised it, if you like, decided, because of the pressure from his family, to leave. Were you at all fearful that David's family may react in the same way?
Not really, because my first husband, we had discussed the ins and outs of whether we should tell them or not, and we decided, because his mother had such a bad time dealing with the fact that I was Christian, we just couldn't tell her I was transsexual. She would have keeled over. So we just, you know, with David it was totally different, because his mother and father knew who I was, and it wasn't a problem.
Right.
So.
And they've been very supportive?
Oh, yes, definitely.
Okay. Well, on screen now, we're going to put some photographs up of you and David on your honeymoon. And you look like two people blissfully in love. David, I have to ask you, because I'm a presenter, I'm an interviewer. You've been out, obviously, with other women, haven't you? I'm not saying that you're a gynecologist, but is everything the same? I mean, what's your sex life like? I have to ask.
Well, sex life is great. Caroline's a very sexy woman, and she knows what she's doing, and everything's in its proper place.
Caroline, do you have an orgasm just like a woman has an orgasm?
Well, you tell me what your orgasm is like.
But you do have an orgasm.
Well, like I said, I don't know what yours is, but I know what mine is.
And
you know, so.
you actually have one. I just want to find out whether you do have
with
one.
With this gentleman, yes, every time. Wouldn't you?
What can I say? So you're saying basically that Caroline is a real and complete woman.
Oh yes, most definitely.
Right.
In every sense.
The only thing with that is that the majority of women can have children. Not all of them, but the majority can. In your case, obviously you can't have a child unless, of course, you're going to have a womb transplant.
Well, they're working on that, but I think my body's been tortured enough, so...
So basically, but you are planning a family. How's that going to come about?
Well, my sister Pam has sort of offered herself as a surrogate mother, and that's what we're sort of organising at the moment. But
David, do you want a family? You are keen to have one, are you?
Yes, I mean, for all intents and purposes, I could be shooting blanks, so, you know, it doesn't come down to Caroline.
When you say shooting blanks, I mean,
children.
How is the baby going to be conceived, can I ask?
Well, not in the natural sense.
Sorry?
Not in the natural way.
Oh, okay. It's just because you said about shooting blanks, and I just wondered, I have to ask. You don't foresee any problems later down the line with Caroline and Pam, since they're so close?
No.
No?
They've discussed that thoroughly, and they're very close.
Right.
I don't see a problem there at all.
Pam, it's your first child. Have you got any more children? You haven't, have you?
No.
So it's your will you really, although I know that you love Caroline dearly, you'll be able to give up your firstborn, will
Yes, I'm dead keen, raring to go.
you? And you see no problems? You don't,
Extremely proud, not at all.
you don't foresee any problems whatsoever? Because
no,
didn't I read
because-
an article where you said the child will be raised in a family atmosphere? I mean,
Absolutely.
but
You know, we've always shared so much together. I think it's the least I can do.
I just
The
think
least
that...
I can do to make her feel complete. I mean, I was fortunate enough to be born with a womb. She wasn't. So if I can help in any way, why not?
Can I quickly ask you, since it's in the news now, about choosing the sex of your child? Do you think that's a good or positive thing, if you can actually go along and actually choose the sex of your child? Do you think that's good?
well, I think it's good as long as it's not transsexual. That's
So you think that being a transsexual is not terribly good?
well, going through the problems I've had, I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. So no, I wouldn't
Right,
want a
okay, let
transsexual
me,
as a baby.
before we lose the link to David, have you got a question for David? Anybody got a question for David before we lose that link? Yep, can you stand for me, please?
Hi. Hi, David. I want you to tell me, be honest, are you sure you are happy? Because you don't look like it.
What time is it in Atlanta? What time?
Because I don't look like it.
No, you don't look like it. You don't look like you're happy.
Apparently it's 6 o'clock in the morning in Atlanta, but can you answer that? You are truly happy, are you?
Oh yeah, I'm very happy, yeah. I'm just straining to hear what's going on over there, so...
Caroline will fill you in, I'm sure, straight after the show.
Now, I want to know, with the two of you, have you really thought this through? I mean, you've been ridiculed because of your private life. What about the child?
Yeah.
What about the child? You know, I mean, as you're saying, you wouldn't want it born transsexual, but I mean, it's going to know about you because it's been publicised everywhere.
Well, I will tell it, actually. You know,
Yeah, but is it fair to bring up a child
Well, don't
with
you-
that, you know? It's hard enough.
Can I just...
Yes? Answer.
I think my child is going to have an awful lot... I mean, it could do an awful lot worse. You know, I'm giving my child love, support and a direction, and all the problems I've had, hopefully I'm going to safeguard it from those problems. So, you know, I think it could do an awful lot worse. I mean, there's so many so-called heterosexual people that are very twisted and warped, and you only have to read the papers about being bashed. You know, I've got a lot more love and support to give my child, so...
You worked with my husband about 12 years ago on the Bond movie, and he came back raving about you, and having seen you in the flesh now, I can see why.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Let's get this comment here. Could you stand for me, please, madam? Thank you.
Firstly, I'd kill for a body like yours.
Oh, so would I, dear.
I would kill for it. Was there ever a time when you're going all through the psychiatry, all through the surgery, when you thought, oh God, I can't go through any of this anymore. It's enough. I've just got to give up. I can't take the pressure. People are making me feel like dirt and all the rest. Because I think what you've done is fabulous.
Well, it is the point, isn't it? People. I mean, this is what's so sad about being a transsexual in today's society. It's people that make you feel so ashamed, feeling inadequate and what have you. And why should I? I've got the love and support of my family. I don't give a damn what any of you think of me. But I'm hoping with more programs like this, more documentaries, educating the public what a transsexual is. I'm not a homosexual, although I'm not knocking homosexuality, but just explaining that I'm not a transvestite, I'm not a drag queen, I'm a transsexual. I have a chromosomal hormonal balance. You know, if you understand what that is, I'm not a criminal.
Right.
I feel like I'm on trial here.
Before we lose David, are there any more last comments that you would like us to have? Let's get a comment for David.
I just want to ask David that before you read the book, okay, do you think that if you knew that she was a man, would you have, like, married her? Or him? Whatever.
I think quite definitely.
I think the book swayed him. It made him look deep and, you know, when he met her as a woman.
Right.
He didn't meet her as a man.
Well, what do you call me?
Don't you think she's a woman?
I don't know what she is.
I'm the same person. Well, I know what you are.
Well, I think comments
Excuse
like
me.
that, they,
I know what
they're
she
totally
is.
uncalled for. They make me feel sad because I think there's so much negativity in the world, you know. I don't think that she's not harming you, is she? No. You know, she looks like a beautiful woman. She's been positive and she's a shining light for many transsexuals. She's doing good.
Say that I have no right to pontificate about your sexuality or your life in any way, and there's a lot of self-righteous arrogance going on about here that I can't stand. And first and foremost, right, what I do object to is what happened in America, where a transsexual had a relationship with some celebrities. She didn't tell the celebrities. Then she went on television shows like this and then that she's a transsexual and making a fool of those other guys. You should, if you have a relationship of this kind, you should tell the person straight away.
Okay, that's true. I'm leaving you to last because I know that you're a transsexual and I want your comments are going to be very...
First point, you're not transsexual, you're a medical female. Let's get that right.
I am now.
Yeah, that's the term I like. Secondly, this is not a question about sexuality, it's a question about being a complete person in your own right and what it takes to be complete. I was formerly married, I had 2 kids. They were in danger because of my violence. Now, I had a choice, either go down the route that Caroline went or find myself totally signed in to a psychiatric care unit, and I wasn't going to have that. So I took the option that was given to me. Now, if that's the lesser of 2 evils, you take your decision from there. And for a 40-year-old, I don't look too bad.
David, I'd like a last comment from you. We're just about to lose you on the satellite. Have you got any message to give to the audience here, the audience that are ignorant of, you know, the problems that transsexuals go through or what you're going through? Tell us that if you're happy or not. Tell us if, you know, talk to me. A minute we've got.
I'm very happy, and Caroline are very happy with one another. The only message I have for your audience is just to keep an open mind and try and be educated.
Are you looking forward to the baby? You're looking forward to the baby?
Yeah, when it comes, you know, we're not discussing that at the moment.
Oh, so it's not a priority?
We're
it's
just happy being together.
Okay. All right, thanks very much, David, for joining us. Let me take some more comments in the studio.
Yes,
Can you stand to me?
I think it's a very important question I think I should ask you. My daughter's 21 years old, okay? Now, in life you have to make sacrifices, yeah?
Sure.
Now, I can appreciate what you want to do to your body, to yourself as a person, but I don't think, okay, that if you have a child, you can inflict that right onto the child. No. Because what it means is this child is going to grow up and you've got to tell them different things, okay? And when we started off as man and as woman. I don't really think it's fair. I think we need to make sacrifices.
Can I just summarise for you, because we're losing, we're going out. So should you have your child in a public arena, basically?
No, I don't want to. When I have my child, hopefully I'm going to be much more settled and have a quiet life. But I'm making, you know, my child, I'm not making any sacrifices for my child. We all make sacrifices. But you're trying to say that because I'm transsexual, I shouldn't have a child?
Any positive thoughts for the future?
Well, hopefully getting through to the ignorance like today. I mean, I'm back in England and I realised, you know, why I left England with all the ignorance here today. So I'm hoping that the 90s will see a big breakthrough in understanding what transsexuals are about, like the 80s have been for homosexuals.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you very much for those positive thoughts. And thank you for watching the Chrystal Roadshow. See you next week. Bye.